Survival instincts kicking in, Kitty would manage to evade and survive the hordes, where she would eventually give birth to Colossus's son, whom she named Peter. The pair would post out in an abandoned house surrounded by traps to keep the undead out, so they could carve some sort of life for themselves in this hellish new world. One day, after a series of successful headshots, Peter would tell his mom that he heard something scratching between the walls. Thinking this was some tenacious undead ready to get a taste of some tenacious lead, Kitty wasted no time and opened fire into the wall to see who it was. Instead of it being an unwanted undead visitor, the pair got possibly the most wholesome surprise that an apocalypse could offer, which was a lost kitten who somehow managed to get stuck in the wall. Seeing that the little guy nearly starved to death, Kitty let Peter keep the cat, whom he creatively and originally named Blackie. Later on, the pair chilled in their greenhouse as they listened to the sweet ambience of zombies blowing up on the landmines that they had planted. During their bonding, Peter was looking at their calendar, where he remarked that it was the 27th of October, just a little over 5 months to his late father's birthday. As he looked at the end of the month on the calendar, he noticed that the 31st was marked as Halloween. Being a child of the apocalypse, the young boy had no idea what Halloween, or even what a holiday was, where he had his mother explain it to him. Thinking that the concept of dressing up in a costume and getting candy sounded awesome, as any kid should, Peter asked his mom if they could celebrate Halloween. At first, Kitty was reluctant, but decided to after Peter told her that if they could not have fun every once in a while, what was the point of staying alive? Peter knows the deal. This kid is embodying the Ziz mentality, and I'm absolutely here for it. A few nights later, Kitty would manage to find an old Wolverine costume for the boy, where they even carved jack-o'-lanterns together from the pumpkins in their greenhouse. The only thing missing from this perfect Halloween night that Peter noticed, though, was that there was no candy. Sadly forgetting this part of the holiday, Kitty promised her son that she would journey into town to find some, but made him promise to stay put since it was still very dangerous to go outside. Peter agreed and went to play with his new kitten while he waited, only to notice that the feline had managed to sneak outside, where it roamed among the corpses of the fallen zombies. Horrified that his new friend would be turned into a Halloween snack, Peter chased after the cat further and further into his ravaged neighborhood. Noticing a nearby house with the lights on, Peter knocked on the door, where he was greeted by a mysterious and rather creepy old man. Asked what he was doing and why he was dressed so weird, the kiddo told him that it was Halloween, where he was promptly corrected that he was a day off and that it was actually All Hallows Eve. Oh, come on, man. Time is an illusion anyway, and it's the apocalypse. Give the kid some candy. Asking the man if he saw his cat, the dude rudely told the kid to look out for himself and that it was dangerous to be alone at night, where he then slammed the door in Peter's face. The saddened kiddo then walked away, rather worried about the old man, and wondered if he was scared of the zombies, only to look back and notice that the man's house had mysteriously vanished. Not having time to second guess the creepy ghost house, Peter caught a glimpse of Blackie the cat run by, only to suddenly get attacked by a deranged zombie squirrel. Before it could do any damage, the terrified kid was snatched up by a zombie former Runaways member, Carolina Dean. Being shot down by a zombie Darkhawk, Carolina dropped Peter to the feet of the heroes Ken Mack, Zero G, and even a zombie squirrel girl who was the summoner of the demon squirrel from before. Honestly, as a kid, I always had an irrational fear that I would get attacked and bitten by a squirrel if I walked by one, and this comic is bringing that fear right back, baby. Telling the zombies that all he wanted was help finding his cat, the undead bullies laughed at this ridiculous request and prepared to snack on their first fresh meat in ages. Before Zero G let the barrier down surrounding the child, the dude was blown apart by Kitty Pryde, who went full Sarah Connor mode, ready to save her son, Peter, displaying ferocity of his own, activated his metal claws on his Wolverine costume, where he proceeded to stab Darkhawk right in the eyes. Grabbing Peter, Kitty rushed to a nearby school where she told the boy to hold his breath as she then activated her powers and ran through the wall. Thinking they were safe, the pair was sadly mistaken as they were then surrounded by an entire army of Squirrel Girl's zombie squirrels. The zombie heroes closed in on the pair, delighted to get a double portion meal, where they were suddenly met by a mysterious voice from the school hallways. Following the sound, the undead then discovered that it was coming from none other than the strange old man that Peter had ran into from before. Swearing to make lunch meat out of the old man, he only smiled a devilish grin as we then see each of the former heroes combust internally into flames, screaming in pain as they melted before their very eyes. The old man then revealed himself to be what us WandaVision watchers never got, and actually ended up being the devil Mephisto himself. Clutching her son close, Kitty told the spirit to get away as he wanted Peter's young soul. Swearing that she would never allow this, Mephisto only smiled, saying that he foresaw this happening and that Peter would eventually belong to him. With his typical diva-like behavior, the dude then teleported back to Hell, claiming he would one day return. Later on, back at their house, Kitty tried her best to cheer her son up and went to continue their Halloween party, only to find her son crying and worried at the devil's words. Comforting her boy, Kitty told him that things are not predetermined and that we all get to make our own choices. She told Peter how her father Colossus was the bravest man she ever knew and would resist the likes of Mephisto on the regular, and that Peter was just like him. She then comforted her son with a warm hug and revealed that she had a present for him. This gift ended up being Blackie, whom she had found and was napping safe and sound in Peter's jack-o'-lantern.